CBS 46 News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
Good morning to you and welcome to Public Affairs on Peach. I'm Vince Sims. All right, this week we're going to be focused on your money, and we're beginning with tax bills in Fulton County. Talk about sticker shock. When they opened their envelopes, Fulton County property owners were stunned by the numbers. Half of county homeowners faced increases between 20% and 50% or even more. They complained in emails and in town hall meetings that you see right there, and eventually county commissioners voted to rescind homeowners' 2017 tax bills. Now, Fulton County Commission Chairman John Eves joins me now to discuss this matter further. Thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. And I know this has been something that you've been dealing a lot with, just as we saw with those town hall meetings and everything. Have you ever seen Fulton County residents so riled up over an issue before?
Well, Vince, I've been in office for 10 years. We've dealt with several major things, from Grady Hospital about to close and dealing with transportation issues, but there has not been any issue that has been quite as contentious as this issue. But I think the good news is that the Board of Commissioners responded in a very positive way.
Yes, they did. They were able to vote and they rescinded the 2017 tax bills, and you even referenced a 1881 state law basis for this decision. So can you talk a little bit about that and how this will all work?
So we discovered through just pushing our county attorney staff to find an answer. We certainly heard from our constituents. I hosted, Vince, 3 town hall meetings. Over 500 people attended. We were searching for a resolution to this challenge in terms of these spike in property assessments that you referenced earlier. But we found this old law back in 1880, 1881 that allowed for the Board of Commissioners of Revenue and Roads, or Roads and Revenue, with the opportunity to change what's called the tax digest. And so that law still applies today. We discovered it. And so roughly a week and a half or so ago, the Board of Commissioners in our meeting, we voted unanimously to correct the tax digest.
And how will this actually work? Are property owners going to get a new bill? Should they wait for that, or how does it play out?
Yes, so the good news is the tax assessment notices that people received the latter part of May, they can throw them in the trash, and so they're basically null and void. A new series of tax notices, assessment notices, will be going out in late July or early August. And basically the tax assessment notice is the appraised property value of the home based on what the tax assessor office has done. And so we found that to be a little bit problematical, sticker shock that many constituents had and received. So we're basically throwing them out, recalibrating, and we're going to go back to the 2016 levels.
Okay. Now, part of this process was that you and Vice Chairman Bob Ellis, you asked the county appraisers to go back and review their numbers, and they actually refused to do that. So if I'm a taxpayer, should I be worried that when that department was asked to help out and review, that they refused? Should I be worried about that?
Not really. I mean, they were just trying to do their job. Their job was to do the assessment and stick by their assessment. They felt that it was done accurately, it was done thoroughly. We as Board of Commissioners, we're elected by our constituents, so we respond and we listen, and so we found evidence that perhaps the tax assessment process was not as thorough and as accurate as it should be. So we initially asked them to correct it, and they felt that they had the law, the legal basis to say that yes or no, and they said no because they were sticking to their guns. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, however, we discovered this old law that allowed the Board of Commissioners to make the decision.
Okay. Now, Commissioner Liz Hossman, she called the property tax appeals process unfair. Is that process something that's also going to be reviewed with this?
So, good question. Not only are the tax assessments null and void, but the original appeal date of July the 10th is also null and void. So taxpayers should just sit tight for a few weeks. You're going to get official notice from the Board of Commissioners in terms of the current status, next steps, and eventually you get a new schedule of sorts in terms of what happens from now until later on and when the tax bill goes out. But there will be a new tax appeals date established, and we will notify constituents very, very soon.
Now, if I had a 2016 tax assessment and I appeal that in some way and it was adjusted, with this one coming back to 2016, will it be my original assessment or will it be the adjusted one?
Well, so the short answer to your question is I think people should just wait to get the official communication from the Board of Commissioners. We're doing quite a bit of re-examination right now, recalibrating. We have to sort of get the IT firm that's helping us out with the new calculations. We're working with them. And so when the new notices go out and the new instructions go out from the board, it will have the exact information that taxpayers will want to ask or have questions asked. And so your question specifically will be asked as well. I don't want to prematurely give you some incorrect information.
Okay, so kind of wait and see what numbers come in there and move forward from that.
The main thing is we heard from our constituents. We took a bold action, unanimously supported it. So this is sort of uncharted areas. It's really unusual for a government to acknowledge that there was perhaps a problem in the process, but more importantly, almost refusing millions of dollars that could potentially come into our budgets in terms of how we can do services in the future. So we basically said, time out, let's recalibrate, let's go back to last year. So this is really uncharted area of waters that we're in right now.
And you mentioned that, the amount of money that's not going to be coming in because we're going back to that. How will you go about the agencies that would receive this money and how they will adjust accordingly?
So two things. Number one, for the most part, governments that will be that operated at last year's or this year's budget levels should be able to operate at the same level next year. So that's part of it. But the other thing is, with the resolution that we derived, we also capturing new construction that occurred last year. So actually, the tax digest, as we call it, it will grow to a certain degree, and so new revenue will come in over and beyond the revenue that we received last year.
All right. Commissioner Chairman John Eves, thank you very much for being with us and kind of explaining this and laying it out for our viewers.
My pleasure, Vince. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. All right. One Georgia State Senator watched the Fulton County tax discussion with great interest and has some ideas he wants to propose when state lawmakers reconvene in January. We will talk with him when Public Affairs on Peach continues.